today I will be just working on practice. So I think we all musicians face these practice questions we have always, and how to set up practice time so it's definitely something successful, but you can enjoy it at the same time. On how to practice, I have to remind you that we all musicians face the same frustration when something is not going the way you want it. Also, we don't want to practice every day. Like every day, we're not like with the same energy. But we have to always keep in mind the long run. Probably practice and learning an instrument, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So if you think you have to accomplish everything in 1 month, in 1 year, no, we have lots of time. But at the same time, you have certain age where you can learn everything quicker. Right now, I'm working with so many different scores, and I do have lots of different tricks that I've been collecting in my life. But I really remember when I was your age, and you have to develop certain process and certain routine on how to practice. So I want to divide this practice time into 4 parts. The first one is preparation. The second one is mistakes, and I celebrate always mistakes. Then is the strategies you have to find, or the different ways you have to find to accomplish all those challenges. And the last one, really important, the brief. So I'm gonna start right now with the 4th. So the brief, it's just the last one, but at the same time, it's the first one you have to definitely start. So before you start practicing, think where you finished last day, or even if you were practicing in the morning, where were you last time you practiced, and create a plan. It's really important that we create a plan for that time you're going to be spending on practice. Maybe 30 minutes, could be 1 hour, could be 2 hours, and sometimes it's as long as just 10 minutes. So, but just reflect for a second. How was the last time you practiced? Before you play any note, just get back to your debrief phase on your last practice. So let's say I practiced yesterday on this piece, but I was just working so much on the notes, and I had no time to work on expression, on getting a nice sound. So how about today? One of my goals is to develop that beautiful, rich sound. And maybe I won't just pay so much attention to the notes. And that's a goal. You might also work on notes. You might work on different things. But if you reflect on how was last time you practiced, most likely you're going to start not from zero. You're going to resume where you were last time you practiced. So the first phase, or the first step, is preparation. It's really important finding a right atmosphere and a great atmosphere for you. And it's different. I recall I had a good friend in high school, and he used to say, best place I have to practice at home is the bathroom. I said, like, really? So yeah, it's a place where I have great acoustic. His sister plays violin as well. So played violin at that point. And he said, like, she's always practicing in her room. So if I go to the living room, I'm listening to her all the time. So that worked for him. To me, that's not a great place to go to practice, also because I have a piano here. But even practicing my clarinet didn't work to me. But just find a place that you have a great atmosphere. I always, when I'm practicing, I need to have, and this is just my thing. Like, I want to just have everything in place. Like if I'm playing my clarinet, I need my reeds, I need my pencil, I need everything around it. So if you play an instrument, a string instrument, have your meal just in case you need it. Have everything so you don't waste time going or just having an excuse. Oh, I don't have this, and this back and forth to the living room, to anywhere else in your home. It's gonna be just causing more distraction. When you find that right atmosphere, then you start warming up. And warm up is really important because it's like a workout. It's like a sport, man. So you need to warm up your muscles. But in our case, we also need to warm up our brains, and we even need to warm up our hearts, as a great teacher used to say. And in that regard, what he meant was, when you're warming up, not just play random notes with random sound, with random outcome. The scales need to have that beautiful sound. The pieces you use to warm up, they need to be played really with full expression. That's what he meant, my old teacher, with warm up your heart. not just play by your fingers. So warm up your brain, warm up your heart, and warm up definitely your muscles. Stretching is always really important. Before you start playing, stretch, always stretch. Your arms might be longer. Your torso might be shorter. So everything just makes sense just for you. And as teachers, we just provide you with some guidelines. But to be honest, you have to find your own warm-up and make that warm-up meaningful, but just your own warm-up. I wanted just to mention that the best teacher we can find is ourselves. And what we teachers do most of the time is helping you solve conflicts and problems as they arrive by yourself. That's what we try to do, because we won't be there all the time. And so that's really important. You find your warm-up routine, and you can take everything your teacher says. You can also take so many other ideas, but just make your own. Right after you warm up, you might decide, now, don't take me wrong, and many teachers might say, no, Juan Felipe, what are you saying? Sometimes you need a little break, and I do take it. Sometimes I just warm up, and I was so focused on during my warming time that I said, okay, I need 2 minutes to walk around, to drink some water, to do something else, because it is also exhausting. If you do it right, even warming up might be exhausting. If you're ready, you just jump into it. But sometimes I just warm up and I just go and do something different. After you think you are warmed up and you just go into the pieces, you have to find strategies to work on your pieces. Most of the time is, okay, let's just play, and then let's see how it is. And then when you play, you might find the beauty of the mistakes. There is nothing better than making mistakes when you're playing, because you learn out of them. Those are the red flags. Like, hey, this is something is bad here, so work on it. And then you have something to work on. So can you imagine if you would be able to play everything just perfectly, you wouldn't be really able to understand and to realize the beauty on each part of the music. That's why when you're practicing, you play on some notes and you notice, oh, those are in tune, but they are not connected. We are not phrasing, or the rhythm is not accurate, and we need to fix it until we have the right rhythm. So that's where I want to land in the strategies. So the ones we really know, and they are really famous: change the rhythm. So if you have something that is not doing well, you just play exactly the same music with a different rhythm. Quite easy, not so difficult. Change the key. That's something I do quite often. I'm working on some passage and it's not doing well. I just change the key completely. Fingerings will be completely different. Everything looks different, but then your mind is resetting because it's just trying to learn something new out of a structure that you already know. So also changing the octave. It works pretty well here, or you're in an instrument on the really top octave. No, just go 1 or even 2 octaves down. Something else I'm used to do is playing backwards. And I just suggested this a couple of times. Playing backwards means that you're upside down and you just grab your instrument upside down. No, it just means you just start playing the music backwards. So I mean, if you just have some melody that is going up, you just go and just take it down. Let me just go quickly to the piano and show you quickly what I mean with playing backwards. Let's just pick a random place. Okay, so this is a Mozart Sonata, and we have to find some scale. We can play that backwards. So it's just taking everything backwards, that your brain starts to work in a different way. Of course, your muscles, because since I'm used to go this way when the scale is up, and I have to go right now the other way because the scale is down, then your muscles start to readjust, and you're learning twice. Most likely, you're gonna learn that passage really well next time you play. Practice, practice, practice is really important. You always find strategies. Play and sing. That's a really good one. Play the notes in any instrument, unless you play a wind instrument, that's really hard. I would say it doesn't. Also, something for wind players, and I'm a clarinet player myself, also something I do is play and walk. And play and walk, and you can even go with different challenges, like play and walk with the tempo and just kind of walking with the pulse. But sometimes I did it actually walking with subdivisions, and I also sometimes walking against the subdivision. Let's say I was playing 16 notes, so I tried to walk in triplets. So I walk in triplets. I played my 16 notes. My brain was like chaos here, but by doing this many times, at some point I realized the muscles were learning. They learned music quickly. I was able to play under pressure because my focus was not on the notes, wasn't trying to keep the walking. So again, finding something else to do will help you fix and just like work on some certain things. The next phase, which is something we avoid and we skip sometimes, is the brief. So again, we prepared everything, the environment, the atmosphere needs to be nice. We warmed up, then we finally we celebrate the mistakes and we just create strategies to fix those mistakes. And then the brief. Why the brief is important? It's because you are gonna be resuming either in the afternoon, tomorrow, or sometimes even in a week. So you need to write down, okay, next time, hey, remember you need to work on this and this and this and this. And actually, I wanted to share quickly some of my scores to show you when I'm practicing how much I start doing lots of different things, like writing lots of different things on the music. And then over time, I stopped doing all of them because the process is different. Let me just show you quickly, professional musicians keep working on pieces despite we played them already many times, and how much those markings in the music look so different over time. So this is just a piano sonata by Beethoven, and you can see how many things I just write there, not only related with technicalities, like, okay, you have to go with your hand like this or fingers, but also musically speaking, what chords am I playing, fingerings. As you notice, sometimes the music has printed fingerings and we changed it, and we actually keep changing them to adapt to your hand. So this is something I wanted to share. This is a symphony number 36 by Mozart. If you notice, that was probably my second or third score that I got when I was probably in my 20s. And you see, I just wrote down lines like, okay, this is like 6 lines or 6 subdivisions, 8 notes per bar. And I was also marking the chords that we were having, like here's C7, and so on and so forth. What happened a couple of years later, I need to conduct that piece again. Guess what? I don't mark so many things. I just write conducted in 3 subdivided, meaning 6, but just like 3 subdivided. And if you notice, an arrow. That means I need to connect that long C to the next one. So I just want to point out how different music looks over time for us as musicians. So it's really good to put markings on your music. Sometimes I recommend to make a copy and just write lots of different markings. And then when you're able to have nice music printed, then you just keep it more simple. Okay, right now, this was symphony number 8 by Dvorak. This is the 4th movement. I wrote lots of different things there. What happened? Years later, nothing, but just my numbers, beautiful numbers. Like the first phrase is 25 bars, and those 25 bars are divided 8 plus 9 plus 8. I just wanted to show you that so you understand we need to do markings. We need to just sometimes write things. Again, ideally, if you can have a copy, so when you go to a concert, if you are still using your music, it's not so messy that you can't recognize the music. Keep your music, and I know sometimes it's hard to keep up with so many music in your house. But again, I think it's important to remind you that musicians, we don't develop things overnight. So we have to work on things, and some will be just developed unconsciously, and some of them will be developed in a short period of time. Some of them would take time to develop, and it's fine. We have to just always keep up working. And I know practice is hard. Don't think that it's any easier for us as professional musicians than it is for you. It's exactly the same thing, but we need to always remember the long run. Just keep practicing, and sometimes it's fine to only practice 10 minutes and then going back after an hour, especially during this time when we are just enclosed at home for weeks. It's important that you, okay, you go practice. And some teachers do suggest a routine that you just go there at 8 a.m. in the morning or at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. You do this. For some people, it does work. But I have to also let you know that for some others, it just doesn't work. And it doesn't mean that you are more like smarter. No, it just, you have to find your way. If you're practicing, if you're improving, that's fine. If it takes you just chunks for 5 minutes every hour, that's what it works for you. It might be just hard to keep up with your schedule, with your school assignments, but it works for you. So great to see you. Have a great day, everyone.